They laughed at it. That's how the story begins. When the P-47 Thunderbolt first appeared in the skies of World War II, German pilots didn't take it seriously. To them, this plane looked too big, too heavy, almost too slow to be a real threat. They called it names, ridiculed it, and believed their sleek Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs would tear it apart in a dogfight. But in war, appearances lie, and underestimating your enemy is the most dangerous mistake of all. The battle for the sky determined the momentum of the entire war. Air superiority meant power, so every aircraft mattered. The P-47 Thunderbolt entered the scene as a machine nobody really understood. But inside that bulky frame, inside that metal giant, was something terrifying waiting to be unleashed. This is the story of how laughter turned into fear, how mockery turned into shock, and how the P-47 went from being the joke of the skies to one of the most feared war machines in history.
The German pilots weren't foolish. Their mockery came from what they saw with their own eyes. When the P-47 Thunderbolt first appeared, it looked like a mistake, an enormous flying tank that weighed nearly double their own sleek fighters. In the brutal calculus of air warfare, agility is everything. They believed this beast would struggle to climb fast, turn quickly, or dodge an attack. Even its engine sounded wrong, a deep, heavy rumble, not a sharp, aggressive crackle of a true dogfighter. Watching it lumber through the sky, they saw not an eagle, but a cow with wings, an easy kill. But they had absolutely no idea what was coming, because they didn't realize every inch of that bulk had a purpose. The thick armor could take hits that would shred other planes. That oversized engine delivered unmatched power at high altitudes. And the wings? The wings held something deadly, something that would rewrite their expectations in a hail of fire. At the heart of the P-47 Thunderbolt was a beast, the Pratt & Whitney R2800 Double Wasp. This engine launched the heavy fighter past 430 miles per hour, stunning pilots who expected a sluggish giant. But speed was just a distraction from its true nature. The Thunderbolt was built to endure. German pilots would empty their cannons into its frame and watch in disbelief as it just kept flying, protected by thick armor and explosion-resistant fuel tanks. But that toughness just ensured it could deliver the real terror. 8 50-caliber machine guns, 4 packed into each wing. When a Thunderbolt pilot squeezed the trigger, the plane didn't just shoot, it erased whatever was in its path. A 1-second burst was a wall of lead that tore through fuselages and ripped wings apart. Pilots called the sound a terrifying mix of thunder and ripping canvas. Once those guns opened up, there was no hiding, no escape. The plane they laughed at had just become a predator. In real combat, the laughter stopped. German pilots would dive in, confident they were attacking a clumsy, flying jug, and then everything would go wrong. The P-47 Thunderbolt didn't collapse under fire. It didn't break apart. It just absorbed the punishment and responded with a hurricane of its own. 8 .50 caliber machine guns lighting up the sky, tearing German fighters apart mid-air. Reports flooded in of Thunderbolts returning to base, riddled with holes but still flying smoothly. German pilots began calling it impossible to kill. The tone over their radios changed. That confident swagger vanished. The phrase, "Thunderbolts incoming," went from a joke to a dire warning. Fear had settled in. German pilots started avoiding them, altering flight paths, retreating early. They learned the hard way. This plane could outdive them, chase them down, and return fire with brutal force. The Thunderbolt didn't just challenge the German Air Force, it shattered their confidence. And in battle, confidence is everything.
At first, the German Luftwaffe pilots laughed. They saw the new American P-47 Thunderbolt and joked about its size. Big, heavy, a flying jug. But by the mid-war period, nobody was laughing. That heavy plane had become a tactical hammer, a ground-attacking force that crushed German armor and shredded supply trains. It became a symbol of American industrial might. Big, powerful, and utterly unstoppable. The plane that once drew jokes now delivered victory. And the German Air Force never laughed again. Because the story of the Thunderbolt is a lesson, one written in smoke and fire. It's about how strength is not always visible at first glance. The Germans saw a bulky airframe. What they completely missed was the furious power coiled inside it. They laughed, but when those 8.5 caliber machine guns lit up the sky, the laughter stopped.